Greetings everyone, Matt here, and today I would like to talk about slurry speech. Not the kind of slurry speech when you drink too much, but the kind of slurry speech when you have your DBS up too high, or you have to have it at this level. For instance, I have it at this level for maximum performance, and if I keep turning it up, my speech is insanely affected by it. Sounds like I'm a drunk person. I'm going to turn it down now. And I'm actually going to go to my clear speech mode, which is that. So as you know now, my speech is clear. Let's dive deeper. So today we're going to talk about speech, deep brain stimulation, and speech issues. So let's get to the next slide. Next slide, please, whoever's controlling this. The speech issues have a name, a specific name, and it is called Dysarthria. Back when I was a doctor, no, I'm kidding. So let that be known, I am not a doctor. I have some experience with this. I've been doing lots of research, a lot of programming sessions where I talk with a neurologist. But again, I cannot offer any medical advice, scientific advice, technological advice. Oh my gosh. Maybe I'll have to do another video on not slurred speech, but how to pronounce words, which has nothing to do with deep brain stimulation. But yes, I cannot give legal advice as well. Anyways, moving on. Move this microphone out of the way here. Dysarthria, the medical term for slurred or thick speech. Like you saw earlier, that was pretty thick. That's like talking through mud. Wow, that's tough, as you noticed. The DBS connection. While DBS targets movement centers, speech is a highly complex motor skill that can be accidentally disrupted. And the good news is these effects are usually reversible or adjustable through programming. So with my program, I have two different programs. Actually, I have 4 different programs total, but the ones I use during the day are one for playing guitar, where I have optimal dexterity in my fingers, which I still kind of have that with the speech mode, as you notice. But I mean, really fine motor skills, I gotta dial it up a little more. And then the other program setting is speech, my clear speech, which I have now. Moving on, the spillover effect. So this is what happens. The brain's real estate, basically the areas targeted for movement, like the STN, the GPI, or the VIN. If you've seen my other videos with Essential Tremor, it's the VIM is where the tremor is blocked. Or I should maybe blocked is not a good word, but that's what is targeted to treat the essential tremor. I believe it's like anywhere from 2 to 5 millimeters. I know it's taller than it is small, but I mean millimeters are like really small. I mean, we're talking like really, really small. So yeah, it's targeted in that area of the brain for essential tremor, and it is literally millimeters away from the corticobulbar tracts. These are tracts in the brain that are control the muscles of the face and the tongue. So it's basically electrical crowding. These tracts are the highways for signals to your face and tongue, like I was just saying. When I was in the OR, if you've seen my OR video, which I'll put a link over there to that, they would test to make sure they weren't too close to that neighborhood, that corticobulbar tract, to make sure that my speech wasn't really affected. Again, there's going to be spillover like we're talking about. It's going to spill over into other neighborhoods. Basically, it's like, think of it like, it's not like a light switch per se, but it's like a broadcasting tower sitting in a very crowded neighborhood. The technical breakdown of how the pulse and amplitude interact to cause the slurring is basically, let's put it this way, the pulse that controls the tremor, it is basically leaking into the internal capsule, which is the part of the brain that we're talking about. And I'll bring up a diagram in a second. But basically, yeah, if the electrical fields from the electrode in my brain spreads too far, then it could jam the signals intended for speech muscles. So instead of my brain sending a clear move your tongue to the left command, the DBS pulse overrides it with its own constant beat. So it makes my tongue feel heavy or uncoordinated because the brain's natural timing is being drowned out. So let's move on. So here's that diagram I'm talking about. So all of this is the thalamus. This yellow part is the VIM, the ventral intermediate nucleus. So that's the part of the brain, of the thalamus, that's being targeted for essential tremor. And it's super small. Here's the other hemisphere of the brain, obviously without these maps. That's basically what the part of the brain looks like without all the drawing is. And then here's a basic map of that area. So where it says I see here, that is the speech part that we're talking about. So imagine if that broadcast is a little too much, it's going to leak into the surrounding neighborhoods. I'm not sure what these other neighborhoods are, but yeah, that's what's going on. In some of my other videos, you may have noticed me get like a nauseous feeling. Maybe that has to do with some of these other areas in the brain. Like maybe the vomit region is there. I don't know, but all I know with the Boston Scientific Technology, it can aim in certain directions. So you're getting even more fine-tuning with their technology versus other DBS technology. Yeah, so the VIM is only like 3 to 5 centimeters wide. So even like increasing the amplitude. So let's check this out. My speech is still slurry. Let's go just amplitude. So I'm lowering my left body, so that's feeling better. And I remember where I am because I know my settings pretty good here. Okay. Yeah, let's try that setting. Tremor's coming back a little. Again, I could probably get around with this setting. So as you're seeing, my speech is getting less slurry. In other words, my broadcast is getting less. You know, imagine you're in Chicago and the broadcast tower is located right at the Sears Tower. Not the Willis Tower, we're going to call it the Sears Tower. Right now, it's just broadcasting to the loop. But if I turn this amplitude up, then it's broadcasting into the suburbs, into Lake Michigan. Maybe it's hitting Milwaukee. You know, maybe I have this thing jacked up and it's hitting, Grand Rapids, Michigan, or like St. Louis. So, yeah, as you can see, not as a good tremor control, but my speech is considerably better. Yeah, so basically the higher the amplitude, the more nerve fibers in the speech center are captured by the electricity. This is why you might have perfect speech at a lower setting, but as soon as the amplitude is raised to a stubborn, to stop the stubborn tremor, my voice will become slurry. And again, this is amplitude, which I have complete control of. Again, it's the size of the electrical field. What I don't have control of is the pulse width and the frequency, and that is controlled by the neurologist, the programmer. Some people may have neurologists, some people may have actual Boston Scientific reps to help control the pulse width. And the pulse width is the duration of each electrical burst, and the frequency is the speed of the pulses. So there you go. No control over that. Let me get my my stuff back here. So muscle tone and coordination. Let's see. Over relaxation. DBS is meant to stop stiffness. If it over relaxes the tongue or the throat, consonants lose their crisp sound. And I had speech therapy before, and I forgot, but there were certain sounds, certain consonants that I had a little trouble with. And the timing issues, the speech requires perfect synchronization between breathing and vocal cord vibration. So the common changes could be reduced volume, a softer, breathier voice, and monotone, less musicality or inflection in speech. Yeah, so again, if I had this thing turned way up, which I'll try and demonstrate in a second, as I do turn it up, it's getting a little more monotone and maybe less flowy, less interesting. And it gives, I gotta take a minute as my brain gets used to it. And this is still connected. Once the connection is cut off, then it kind of makes me feel less, for lack of a better term, amplified. Oh, yeah, it hits me a little hard at first. All right, so solutions in management. Neurological tuning. So doctors can adjust specific voltage, frequency, or specific contact point to steer the current away from the speech centers, which, you know, sometimes it's the balances of justice. Do you want better speech and a little more tremor, or do you want less tremor and a little slurry speech? With a lot of things I've heard, it's hard to get the best of both worlds. But technology keeps getting better, so you never know. Which leads me to that, right? Newer technology allows the current to be pushed in a specific direction, avoiding these sensitive areas. And like I said before, specialized training like LSVT Loud helps the brain recalibrate how much effort is needed to speak clearly. So, I mean, if I turn I turned everything off, but now I'm having to deal with a little bit of a speech tremor, but I guess my speech is more flowing. I don't have to really worry about a slur per se. But now again, if I turn it back on, my speech will get slurry. But my speech therapy is basically, in a basic sense of the term, has taught me basically, and I'll keep saying basically, to be more mindful with my speech and to take my time. Take my time. Time. All right. When to call your team. And nowadays, you know, it's a text away. Sometimes even a phone call or a email away. But any immediate change, if slurring starts right after a programming session and you can't, there's nothing you can do, give your team a call. Also, any dizziness or tingling. This can often occur as a side effect alongside the speech changes if the current is set too high. And again, don't wait and see. I did that after one programming session. My balance was extremely off and my speech was a little messed up. And I was like, maybe I'll just wait and see what happens. But in all honesty, I should have turned around and said something. But maybe from my mistake, you learn to say, hey, this is an issue. I can't function. It's affecting my life, maybe even worse than having the tremor. Excuse me. So, and I've had an issue before, and the doctor was kind enough to get me in on his lunch break. Wow, that is one heck of a doctor. So, and most of these doctors, they have gone this route medically for a reason. The reward for them is the patients, you know, seeing them, the results of this treatment affecting them so greatly that they're just beyond happy to help you because they want to see you succeed. So don't wait. Most speech side effects can be minimized with a simple adjustment. And it was that. He was just like, he probably just aimed the thing differently. You know, they've studied a lot of schooling about the brain, so they know exactly where to aim. So conclusion and key takeaways. DBS is a tool, not a set and forget, right? So speech changes are a common trade-off that can usually be managed with technical adjustments. And communication is key. Your medical team relies on your feedback to find the balance between motor control and vocal clarity. And adaptability, whether it's through new programming, directional leads, or therapeutic exercises, there are multiple paths to regain a clear voice. For me, I used to sing a lot more. I haven't sang as much, but I'm sure if I did vocal, vocal exercises, singing exercises, I'm sure that would help tremendously. In the big picture, minor speech hurdles are often a small part of a much larger journey toward improving quality of life and movement. Which brings me to my final thought. For me, DBS has been able to drastically reduce my tremor. If my voice is a little off, that's a trade-off that I'm willing to live with. I also know that there are a multitude of program settings that my neurologist can continue to adjust over time to achieve maximum tremor control with as little voice issues as possible. So, there it is. I know this can be a sore spot with some. For me, it was a little bit of a sore spot, and I learned to live with it because at the end of the day, to tie my shoes or brush my teeth or shave my head with little to no tremor is huge. I will take some slurry speech. If someone thinks I'm drunk, then so be it. Even I know I'm not drunk, but if they're like, wow, man, it's a little drunk, then maybe it's easier to be around me. Maybe I'm less intimidated because they think I'm a little half in the bag, so to speak, even though I'm not. But hey, that could be our secret. Our secret. We don't need to tell anyone. But I guess I'm telling the world right now, so the secret's out. Anyways, maybe a long-winded video, but I had to tell you this stuff because this is what I'm experiencing. This may be what you're experiencing, and I gotta share it. So there you go. Sorry for the long-windedness, but that's my sermon for the day. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.